Hello? Yeah. Can I have the resume bio of madam? It is there. Okay, thank you. So, we have in this session how many talks? One, two, three, four, five. So, this session we have 5 talks. Each talk there is 25 minutes talk and 5 minutes question answer session. So, the first talk will be on Between Consciousness and Life, a Physician's Inquiry Through Vedantic Epistemology by Durga Padmaja. She is a senior professor, head of Division of Central Care, Department of Anesthesiology and Critical Care, Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences, Hyderabad, Telangana, India. Dr. Durga Padmaja is a senior professor and head of the Division of Critical Care at Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences in Hyderabad, Telangana. She has a rich academic background and has contributed significantly to the field of anesthesiology and critical care. Her research and clinical work have been recognized with various associates and publications. Dr. Padmaja's expertise and dedication to patient care have made her a respected figure in the medical community. So it's very interesting to hear from medical experts her own experience.
Namaste and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for the introduction. And first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to stand here in front of luminaries like you. Uh, Today I stand here not just as an anesthetist and an intensivist, but as someone who's seen some of the So today I stand here just not as an anesthetist and an intensivist, but as someone who has seen some of the most intricate moments of life. As an anesthetist, probably we play with consciousness. My job is to put the patients to sedation, that is, make them lose the consciousness, and then make them regain consciousness. So we see this phase of life where they move from consciousness to unconsciousness and unconscious to consciousness as a part of my daily job. Probably we see, thousands of anesthetics going on like this, and probably we are taught in such a way that I can understand what anesthesia is in terms of molecular mechanisms. I can understand what anesthesia is in terms of how the neurons are suppressed and what pathways in the neurons brain are suppressed. But then somewhere down the lane there is a small query in the mind or something that doesn't answer, is not answered by the textbooks. And I think I should thank Dr. Bharat and Maharaj Ji for giving me this opportunity to delve into this topic. I think probably as an intensivist, what we see every day is the fragility of life. We see people who are very sick. We see people who are dying. And then people who come back to life from a stage where they're almost dying. Or some people who probably do not make it. And these are the moments of life that really make us think what is life and what is death, what is living and what is life, what is being aware and what is consciousness, what is dying and what is losing a life. So these are probably these are all the textbook definitions that don't really define what we understand or what we see on a daily basis. And this probably makes us delve into more subconsciously into what are we dealing with on a daily basis. But then most of the time what we do is we just focus on the monitors, we focus on the numbers, or we focus on the labs, the chemistry, or on the mechanisms, and I try to understand whether I can just join all the dots and say that this patient has this particular disease, and this is what I'm dealing with, and this is how it's going to be, and this is how I'm going to deal with this patient. But when it comes to these deeper thoughts, probably what we do is we just push them away, thinking that, okay, this is not science, I'm not supposed to think like this. And most of the time, we don't even share it with the others openly because we think, I'm not sharing science, I'm sharing something that is very deep or very philosophical. So we try to push this philosophy away as far as possible. But then, at some point of the day or some point of life, these questions keep coming back to us. as to what is it that we are dealing with, how am I supposed to manage this, or sometimes we think, why am I not able to manage this, or why am I able to manage this? So there are a lot of questions that keep coming, and these are like not something that I can ask science. This is something that I can ask only philosophy. And I will thank Maraji for introducing me to this concept of epistemology and how the current epistemology is different from the ancient epistemology. And that made me thinking and probably tried to link what I am dealing on a daily basis with probably what I have learned as a child from my grandfather. And trying to link these two, I found a very beautiful link. And I should thank for, what I've been pushing away for a very long time. I'm able to pull it back and then concise everything and then think, okay. So first of all, I apologize if I've overstepping my limits, because there are some things I still don't understand. But this is probably an attempt where I've tried to link certain things and understand at a deeper level than what my textbooks or the journals tell me. So basically, I'll start with anesthesia. So this anesthesia actually, as I said, gives me an ability to switch from consciousness to unconsciousness and unconsciousness to unconsciousness. So supposing one of you comes to me for anesthesia, we start with talking, what are you, what is your name, what do you do, how many children do you have, how do you spend your day, things like that. And I get to know a lot about the patients. And then towards at some point, I tell you, I'm going to give you a small injection, which is going to make you feel warm, and then you're going to sleep. And then a few milligrams of drug, and then you are not in this world. You lose your consciousness. You lose your ability to think. You lose your ability to dream. You lose your ability to be yourself. And then, so then I keep wondering, like, what has happened to this person who has been talking to me just now? And then in the next moment, he's not there with me. And then after some time, when I reverse the drug, the same person is back. And then you open your eyes and say, is the procedure over? Or are we still doing something? So you talk to me as if you're come back from our next door. So this says like, so where has this person been when I was giving this drug? And what happened to that person? And where is he coming back from? And where was he all this time? Was he in the same body? Then was he thinking? So there's so many questions that keep coming back to us. And there are a lot of dilemmas in this daily procedures that I do. Though I've done thousands, or probably in a month we do about 1,000 anesthetics. But even after 30 years of this anesthetic, I still can't understand what is it that is going out and what is it that is coming back. So there are a lot of questions that probably my textbooks don't answer. That is, what disappears during anesthesia and what returns when the consciousness comes back. And what happens to these patients when they're unresponsive? Where are they present? And then what leaves the body when it is dead? So there are a lot of, you feel divided between the science and the philosophy. Because science describes only the mechanisms, but it doesn't tell me the meaning of things. So I understand what the monitor's beeping means. I understand the numbers on the monitor. But what I don't understand is the deeper inside person. So these are the questions that I probably keep asking. And then we keep thinking whether we can find answers to all these. So the answers to these are found on the other side, not in the textbooks or in the science. They are found in our philosophy, in our Vedic epistemology. And probably that is where I try to go back and find these answers from. So most of the time we don't mix these worlds, but then this is one opportunity that I had to see whether I can combine these two worlds and see whether I can answer these questions as to who am I or what am I, which I don't find in the sheets. When I see the ICU chart, probably I see the name of the patient. I see the diagnosis, but I don't really see the inner who am I in that. Or when I see the labs, I don't see what am I. So this is what I want to learn from. So what happens when you disappear, or what comes back So what is it that is beyond these neural mechanisms, or what is it that is beyond these chemistry? So I know that when the thalamocortical pathway is suppressed, the consciousness is suppressed, or when the frontal lobe is suppressed, your memory is suppressed, or when the pathways are, so I know what pathways cause what, and then what chemicals. I know that the GABA receptor that my anesthetics are suppressing is going to inhibit the pathways. But then what happens beyond this is something that is still a mystery. So do we have answers for this as to what disappears and what persists when the person returns? So I thought I'll not make mistakes in reciting this. So Sunda, are you able to hear? So I know that you all know better than me. So na antah pragyam na bahir pragyam. So it is something that you don't see when you see inside. It is something that you don't see when you see outside. So this is what the Atma is described as in Vedas. That's something that is there all around. But then you don't see it inside, nor you do you see it outside. It is a phenomena that is peaceful, it is auspicious, and which is non-dual. So this is how the Atma is described in Vedas. And this again resonates with what I want to know as to what is it that is persisting or what is it that is disappearing. So now I can understand that what I'm suppressing is actually the awareness or the body, but not the Atma that is there inside. And that persists even when I suppress it with the drugs, even when I suppress it with the, or when it is suppressed with the disease. There is something that is still inside, that is very personal, or the Atma that is there inside and outside everyone. So this is something that has given me an answer to what I was trying to look for, as to what is it that we are looking. So the consciousness vanishes, but then the self still persists in the body, and then that is the self that returns when consciousness comes back. So witnessing this self and the core consciousness is something that is magical every day. So we understand the deeper essence of life when we look at this. So it is like having a sky with the clouds. So probably the clouds are like our dreams, our thoughts, our actions. But when these move away, the sky still persists. And that is what we deal with. Like say when I give an anesthetist, probably I'm moving the clouds away, but then the sky is still there. The Atma, the patient, the person is still there. So that is how we can probably look at that state of consciousness that we are dealing with. It's like probably for the younger people who are more into movies, it is like a movie that is being screened. We press a pause button on the movie, but then the movie stops or pauses, or probably if the current is gone, it's gone. But then what remains is the screen, and that is what is the Atma. That is what is the inner self that persists in the body, even when whatever we are doing around is still disappearing. So even in those states of mind, where the mind is not working, the body is not working, there is something inside us that is still there, and that is the Atma. So if we can understand this Atma, probably then we have understood everything. So this next step. So this hymn from the Veda says, so the previous slides, incoming. So Atmanam ched vijaniyat. What is it? Can I take this liberty of skipping this? So if one knows self, as this is what I am, then he knows it all. So what we need to understand is that we need to understand the person or what is inside us as an Atma, not just our body or the mind or the appearance that we have.
आत्मानं चेत् विजानीयात् अयम् अस्मीति पुरुषः.
So if you look at again, what am I trying to explain you all? This is also found in the depth of our Vedas. So it says that there are 4 stages. One is the stage of awakening. Then 2 is the stage of dreaming. 3 is the stage of unawareness. And there is a 4th stage called Turiya. So this is the stage that probably we are creating when we give anesthesia. We are probably uptending the awakening, uptending the consciousness of the patient, but then the inner self that is there, the essence of the phenomena that is there is not being suppressed by anything, and that is the 4th state that is described in the Vedas. So there are a lot of answers that probably the science does not give me, my textbooks do not give me, or the journals do not give me, the recent advances do not give me, but then they are still found in our ancient scriptures. So next we'll move on to the paradox that we see in the ICU every day. So in the ICU, I have patients who are probably maintained on life supports. For the blood pressure, we give them some supports. For the breathing, we give them ventilation. For oxygen, we give them oxygen. So everything, for the kidneys, we can do dialysis. So for every organ, we have a support in the ICU. So I know that I can support the patient for a very long time on all these life supports. But then sometimes when we go to the patient, we still have a doubt as to, I'm supporting the organs, but is the person still in there? So that is the question that we always face. But then there are sometimes there is a paradox. I feel that the patient is unconscious, his brain is not working, and he is not there. But then there are some times when, say, the child, the daughter comes and holds the hand and says, Nana, I want you back. And then I can see a twitch in the face or tear in the eye or a flicker of movement. And even when we don't see it, the patient's attendants, the kith and kin feel that they are still there. So there are a lot of paradoxes that happen in the ICU. Sometimes when we think that we are sustaining life, but still we are not sure whether the person is there or not. There are some times when we are not sure that the personhood is not there, but still the life is felt by people around them. So there are a lot of things that probably the monitors don't explain, or the numbers don't explain, or my blood reports don't explain. But still there is something that goes on inside, or something that is stopping inside, which we do not know. And this is something that we try to explain with going on into the deeper scriptures. And so this question of whether the person is still there, I think has always been there. The question has been there for thousands of years. People have been thinking about this. I mean, we have this in the Vedic scriptures. And probably only recently the modern science is able to show something like that. So in the last few years, we discovered something called as a covert consciousness, where a person apparently, by all means, when we look at the electrical activity in the brain or MRI, the brain is not working. That is, we consider the patient unconscious or probably in a vegetative state where he cannot perceive something. Patient is in coma. But still, when such patients underwent MRI and they were told to do certain things, like say play tennis, there were some areas in the brain that were lighting up. So we do not expect these patients actually to be conscious, because by all means, by all my tests, I've seen that the brain is not working. But then somewhere inside, there is something that is lighting up when we do a PET. And that is called a covert consciousness in the modern day life. And this is what probably the patients and the patient's attendants have been telling us for a very long time, that they perceive the life in the patient. Even when I tell them that, his brain is not working, he's no more here, but still they say, no, I still feel that My father is there. I can hold him. I can feel him. So that thing of feeling inside is still there. And that has been now shown in the form of PET as covert consciousness. So, but the same thing as is someone there has already been explained in our scriptures. Can I have the sound of this, please? The next one.
शरीरं शरीरेषु सर्वानुभूत्यानुग्रहम्.
So there is, which means that there is a bodiless self that dwells in the body that enables all experience. So there is something that we do not understand still in the form of maybe the electrical activity or the functions that is still there inside. And that is what enables us to experience the world. And that very thing is there in everyone. And like, for example, if I have to say, if you're looking at, say, a veena that is being played, and the veena is broken, so you don't hear any sound. But that doesn't mean that the player is not there. It only means that the sound is not coming. So today I understand that when I deal with a patient who is unconscious there, it's not like he's not there. He's still there, but only thing is I'm not able to hear it. So that is the connect that we have in the patient. So the Vedanta explains it in the form of Atma, the underlying all-pervading thing that can be there in everyone. So the next most contentious thing, or something that we are all very worried about to talk about, is probably the absence of life. And this is something that probably we deal with on an everyday basis. We probably certify a lot of deaths every day. So whenever I write a death certificate and I say the cause of death is cardiopulmonary arrest or the cause of death is sepsis, then I keep wondering, is the cause of death a cardiopulmonary arrest? Because I know that even when the heart is not actually working, I can still sustain the heart by keeping the patient on an ECMO. And then we have something called a brain death, where the brain stops working, but the other organs are still working. As someone was saying in the morning, that even when a person dies, there are a lot of other cells that are still surviving. So what has happened to this patient? I mean, why are we saying that this patient is no more? Or what is this death? And this death is always a very contentious subject in terms of definition. I cannot define death as a stoppage of heart, because even when the heart stops, it can be restarted, but still the person is not there. I cannot define it as the absence of brain, because even in the absence of brain, I know that all other organs are working. Now, how do we define this death? What is meant by this death? Is it the connection only between the heart and the brain that defines death, or is it every cell? So there are a lot of changes that happen. Like, say, we transplant organs after we call the person a brain death. So, but then, which means that those organs are working, but then I'm not transplanting the person. So the person is not there in those organs. He's somewhere. I mean, what is it that is leaving this body and that is not there in the organs? So which means our life is not in the brain, our life is not in the heart, our life is not in the kidney or spleen. It is somewhere. And that is what our books or script don't explain, and our scriptures explain as to what is that is residing in us and that is leaving. And that is the prana. So basically what we measure in modern medicine is probably the cessation of the function of organs. But then what we do not measure or what we cannot see is the departure of the prana. So that is something that we cannot define, because the prana with the consciousness is what makes life. And consciousness is something that is all pervading. And consciousness is something through which we are seeing. So how can we see something through which we are seeing? So that is the most complex thing in this world that we cannot see. So we know that there is something inside us. We were seeing that even a unicellular organism can sustain a multicellular. So a group of organisms together form an organism. So what is it that is binding us together, binding all our cells together into one organism? And that is the inner prana that our Vedas describe as. The Vedas with the consciousness is what is life, and that is what comes up. And this life, can I have the sound of the next one?
Hanyate hanyamane sharire.
So the Bhagavad Gita also describes, and even the way Upanishads tell, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So sarira, or the self or the consciousness or the prana, is something that cannot be destroyed when the body is destroyed, and that cannot that exists even after the body does not exist. So this is something that we have been probably there in our scriptures, in our epistemology for a very, very long time. It's not that today in 2020s we are thinking what is life or what is the body or what is life. So people have been thinking, our ancient sages have been thinking over this for a very long time, and they have written a lot of things about this. Probably in the modern epistemology, where we are probably concentrating on the mechanisms, we have somehow lost that thinking. But then even within us, whenever we think deeply, we still have that as to what it is. And then when we go back to our roots, probably we realize what is it that is important for us. So this process of dying in Vedas is described as just like the water drains away. Can I have the sound of this?
Yatha kramena jalasya pravahaha. Evam ayam atma dehat samharati.
So it says like just as the water drains away, the self withdraws from the body. So that is, I mean, it sounds very simple, but it's yet very complex. Because when we as an intensivist see death in the ICU, we realize that that moment where the prana leaves the body is not very simple to understand. And it is not very simple to tell the others also. Every day I explain the kith and kin as to what is happening to the patient, that the patient may not survive or may survive. And then when I tell them that they may not survive, they do not understand what is it that I am saying that it is not surviving. Because the monitors are working and the ventilators are working. And why am I saying that the patient cannot survive? And even for me as an intensivist, it is very difficult to understand these concepts of life and death. And then I find solace in these scriptures that tell me that, yes, there is a prana that decides to leave the body, and when it leaves, that is when the body is without life. So to make it simpler, probably, it has been explained like this, that the life is made up of layers. Like we have these Kondapalli Bommalu, how many of you know that there is a toy inside a toy and then there is a toy over it? So our life is also something like that. It is made up of layers, and this is called the Panchakosha model. So we have different layers inside, which is called Annamaya, Manomaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. So each one means that there is a physical sheath, under which there is a vital sheath, under which there is a mental sheath, until which there is an intellectual sheath, and under which there is a bliss or the Anandamaya. And under that lies the Atma. So when we can understand this, then probably, I mean, more than you all, it is for me, that when I understand that this is what is life all about, I can understand what I am doing on a daily basis. Sound better.
Annamayaha, pranamayaha, manomayaha, vijnanamayaha, anandamayaha.
So when these layers are what we are dealing with on a daily life. So when I anesthetize a patient, I know that I'm removing I'm keeping the vitals in, I'm keeping the bliss inside, but what I am separating is the function or the manomaya. Similarly, when the patient is in coma, then the vitals are intact, the bliss is intact, but probably the functioning or the manomaya and the vijnana is lost. So like that we can explain what is happening in the ICU or what is happening to us when we are going through different phases of life. Because, I mean, not just as a doctor, probably as a patient also, we keep wondering, why is it happening to me, or what is happening to me? Why can't it be renewed, or why can't I become normal with all these advances? And that is because of these things, as to how the life unfurls itself. So I have understood that I need to go beyond the microscope to understand life, to understand what it is to deal with patients. So with this expanding epistemology, I can, next slide, Kelra. I can understand life with a different perspective. I can understand my job with a different perspective. So I know that there are certain limits to the modern epistemology, that science does not explain everything. It only explains the mechanisms, but it does not explain the meanings. So if you look at the Vedantic way of learning, it is like you have different ways. The pratyaksha, which means the perception, the anumana, which means the inference, the sabda, that is the knowledge that is gained from the scriptures, and then aparoksha anubhava, that is what is by direct realization. So if you look at what we are learning with this science, it is a third person experience, or the data that comes from a third person. We are not learning from the first person, that is what is experienced. So that is the main difference between what we learn from our scriptures or Vedanta and what we learn from the modern science. We are learning from the data when we look at science. So this reductionism actually talks us about mechanisms, how the cell works, but then it does not tell us how or what we feel, the experience that is there within. So we are always looking at things or the life as object. But what I, as a clinician, or probably we as human beings, are supposed to do is look at the life as a subject and not as an object. So Vedanta will actually complete the picture. What science cannot explain can be explained by the Vedanta. So the perception and inference come from the science, whereas Vedanta adds two more layers to our understanding, the testimony and the direct realization. So this is when the science meets the philosophy, we are completing the picture. So there are, like, I have found a lot of clarifications when I turn to the ancient scriptures. Like, what is meant by consciousness? The consciousness is the fundamental cosmic background that is there. And then it is continuous and it flows in the state. And then that life is consciousness, which is integrated with the vital force. And death is the absence of this consciousness. So when I combine this modern toolkit of external measurement with Vedanta, that is the internal knowledge, and that is when we can actually give a complete perspective to the life. So what is it for me as a clinician? So what do I understand? So when I understand that the same Atma or the Paramatma is there in every life that I am dealing with, every life that I am looking at, so that is where I learn to respect. Give respect to the person. Give respect or to the person that I'm dealing with. So then I don't say, this is bed number 3 with GCS of 3. I say it is a person. It is the Paramatma that is there inside who is not able to talk to me. So when we try to look at Paramatma in every life that we look around, when we understand what is life, what is Paramatma, then probably we learn to be more ethical. We learn to respect the life. We learn to be compassionate to people. And it also reduces the moral injury that I have as a physician when I deal with death or when I deal with inability to salvage, because I feel that my work is to make people live. And when I cannot do that, there is a lot of moral injury that happens. And when I turn to the Vedas, then that gives me a moral solace that yes, it is not, you are only an instrument, you are not the Paramatma.
एको देवः सर्वभूतेषु गूढः सर्वव्यापी सर्वभूतान्तरात्मा.
So one divine self hidden in all beings, all pervasive, all inner self of all. So that is what we have learnt. That is what we understand when we go back to our scriptures. And that is when we learn the value of life, or to respect life, because every life is Paramatma in itself. So while science explains how, Vedanta explains us why. And that completes the epistemology for me. The science plus Vedanta is the wholeness. And when I have a holistic attitude to the job that I am doing, that is what medicine is all about, with the scientific rigor, but with the philosophical wholeness. But what we still do not understand is what is this consciousness, what is this Paramatma? Because, I mean, the reason why we cannot understand is how can we know something through which we know something? So that is probably the most difficult question in life. By what shall we one know that by which all else is known? So that is the
येनिदं
where I leave this.
सर्वं विजानाति तं केन विजानीयात्.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Durga Padmaja Madam. It is a very wonderful sharing of your experience from your practical, life that you are seeing in front of you. I, interviewed one professor in AIMS, and I asked him, Sir, can you tell, when you look at your patient, can you look at him from the eye of the science, how the science sees life? Because science, if you see, they talk life as just atoms and molecules. So can I treat a patient as atoms and molecules, which you very clearly explained that is not the case, because you are in the critical care in experience, you have seen something beyond atoms and molecules, and that is very significant sharing of experience. Now the floor is open for question answers. Anybody have any questions for madam? They're welcome to ask. Yes.
I have one basic question, madam. Whatever the molecules and we take and atoms or molecules and that are present in our body, the same, all of them, and they are present outside. Absolutely, and nothing is present in our body which is not available outside. But still, they do not have life outside, but they have the life in our body. How is it possible?
I think I'm very small to explain this, but from what I have understood, it is the prana, the Paramatma that is there, that gives us the life. So the molecules are an assembly of cells. Without this prana is not life. Life is the consciousness or the awareness of these external, along with that prana inside us, that makes us living. So the difference between living and life, probably non-living and death, is very, probably is where the lines are very difficult to draw. So, from what I've read and what I've understood, it is that the prana or the Paramatma that's inside us makes all the difference to being alive and to be living.
So in that case, I hope and you know about amoeba, a single-celled animal. The whole complex and whatever we have and the same is also present in amoeba. But whereas if you come to our body and we have and so much of complexity and like cells and form into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into organ systems, and ultimately and you have the body complex. So how is that? And the body complex is so complex and in our body, but all these functions and whatever you observe in our body and the same they are present even in single-celled animal amoeba.
Yeah, again, probably when we were discussing in the earlier thing. So a single cell amoeba also has life, whereas for us, we as a whole are life. So where the prana resides or however does that prana reside in the body makes us into an organism. So a single cell amoeba is also an organism because it has the prana. And we as a multicellular organism also have prana, so we are also alive. So when it comes to life, it is whether it is single celled amoeba or a complex human being, it is still life. Life is one, and that is that one Paramatma that resides inside us. So however complex we are, probably as individuals or individual cells, how we perform is different. But that inside what we have is there in every other person. So what is inside me is inside you, inside someone, and inside even the smallest, minutest organism. And probably that is something that is very difficult to realize. And probably I'll forget it the moment I step down this dais.
Thank you, madam.
I want to add, madam, that there is a difference between Atma and Paramatma. So, when you are giving anesthesia, so you are blocking the finite consciousness. You are not blocking the infinite consciousness. That means all the vital organs, they are active. So, when the person die, the doctor comes and checks the autonomous signals are working or not. So the eye, they put the torchlight. So from there, in our Vedanta explains, there are two sentient entities. One is finite, one is infinite. Finite means you know what is going on in your body. You are hungry or not. But I am not knowing other person is hungry or not. Paramatma knows everybody's body what is going on. So there is some differences there. Like, in your body, there are many cells. So from top to bottom, you are conscious. So, but in that body also, there are other small organisms. So they are, very minute. When we are thinking ant is very minute. Even for ant, there are still further smaller entities which are very further smaller. So we are finite and supreme is infinite. So that difference we have to understand. And how this is happening, these whole things is achintya, beyond our thinking, capability. Inconceivable potency, what is explained. So that is the thing that we are discussing. Our capacity, we cannot grasp these things. Only through surrender, we can understand what is our position in that. That is the thing.
The definition of Paramatma is given as Maya Prachurjam Antaryamitmayam Antaryamitvamayam Chit Sakti Vishishtam Paramatmam. That means this entire Maya Shakti is working under his control. Then that means in Prachurjam means in excess. Then Antaryamitvamayam, he knows inside and outside. And Chit Sakti Vishishtam, that means he is not made up of matter. He is transcendental to matter, means he is of the nature of Chit potency. Whereas we have this material consciousness, but he doesn't have that.
Thank you for a nice exposition, ma'am. I am Rajshekhar, sir. Basically interested in epistemology, and I'm into basic scientific research. When you were saying this varying levels of complexities, and especially when you said the 5 sheets, can you explain it a little further? First point. Second point is how these complexities are decided. Who decides that? And why also? Why an ant is an ant and an amoeba is an amoeba, and why I am a human being? And where does this, when you said we are only instruments and not Paramatma, is there not a contradiction? When we are saying we are Atma, part of Paramatma, and again when we are saying we are not Paramatma, we are only instruments, there is some contradiction.
Again, probably I will admit that I'm not and will not answer this. But the thing is, what I feel is what is around us is what is inside us. And when we understand that Paramatma and Atma are probably a part of the whole, that is when we can probably understand every other living being around us. And so probably whatever is the definition of Paramatma or Atma, I feel that Paramatma is there inside us living as an Atma. And that is when, when the Atma leaves the body becomes non-living. So until that time, the Atma is living. So, for me, if I go back to the ICU and talk, or I'll tell you my own experience. My husband was suffering from a brain tumor, and he had all his consciousness subtended because of the brain tumor. But then, when I hold his hand, I'm able to feel his presence. Even though the brain was not working, everything was not working, but still I could feel the presence. Probably everyone around me cannot feel the presence, but then me as a wife could feel the presence. And I felt that, the day I was willing to give up, and I said, okay, this is the time when I'm strong enough to let you go. And that very day, he passed away. So there is something that connects the Atma to an Atma, the Paramatma to the Atma. And when does the body leave, or when does death happen, is a very thin line for me. I mean, because I see death every day. I see death when the heart is working. See death when the brain is working. So there are different, so the definition of death, or the scientific definition of death, is probably very fluid, which is very porous. And probably we'll have to, so if I have to decide death based on these scientific definitions, there is a lot of moral trauma that happens to me, because I'm not sure whether when I declare death, or when I say that the person is not living anymore, whether he's actually not living anymore, because the heart is still working. Now, where do I draw the line between living and non-living? And that is when I will have to probably fall upon the ancient scriptures to understand what is death. So when I feel,
Madam,
for me,
we are
when I
running
think
short of
that
time.
the prana or the paramatma has left, and that is when death happens, then I can accept that there is a line there. So otherwise, drawing this line is very difficult. And coming to the other question, the layers. Probably the layers are not something that are drawn or that are definite. These are the layers that are there to explain us what are the different components of life that we have. So we have a component that is the physical sheath. This is not a physical sheath that is there, but then for us to understand life, we have a physical component, we have a vital component, we have a mental component, we have an intellectual component, and then the innermost is the bliss. So the bliss is what is most important for all of us. And probably that bliss is something that is there in every living being. So each
Thank you,
living being
madam.
has a bliss.
Thank
in a
you. We are
different way.
running short of time. Another speaker is there.
Thank you.
So, briefly, I want to say about your question that why a bacteria is a bacteria, why a cat is a cat, why a dog is a dog. You are sitting on a bicycle, it moves at certain speed. You are moving in a scooter, it is going another speed. You are going in a bus another speed, train another speed, rocket another speed. You are the same person. Same way, Atma is given different bodies according to its karma. So every body has its own limitation. So it can do certain things, it cannot do certain things. So it is all based on the karmic cycle. Thank you very much. We have, Dr. Padmaja created a lot of questions. That means, the talk is well received. So we thank her very much with this wonderful presentation. With this, we move on to our next speaker. And she is Dr. Silpi Saxena, Sumangala Devi Dasi. And she is going to speak on reclaiming reality, Vedanta's relevance in a world enslaved with science. So she is a researcher in Delhi University, and okay. Dr. Sumangala Devi Dasi, she works as a principal investigator and scientist at University of Delhi. She earned her PhD in chemical sciences and masters in organic chemistry. Her interests center on investigations in hydrological sciences using nuclear techniques. She did her postdoctoral research at IIT Roorkee. She has worked at IIT Roorkee, IARI, Pusa Institute, Delhi University, and the National Institute of Hydrology. Driven by a deep spiritual curiosity, she is trying to be immersed in a in-depth study of the Bhagavad Vedanta philosophy, seeking a holy shelter of absolute reality under her guru. And she humbly serves and learns, guided by his wisdom and spiritual expertise. So with this, we invite her to present her talk. So she should be limiting herself to 25 minutes talk and 5 minutes question and answer session, because we are running short of time and the time should be maintained. She can share her screen. You can hear Dr. Sumangala? Your video is not on. You can click the video. Yeah. Hello, can you hear us, Dr. Sumangala? No sound is coming. Sound is coming? Mute. You're on mute. You have to unmute. Can you call her? Can you go to Zoom? Yeah. She is the host. She can unmute always. Yeah. You can tell to start the video also. She can. Yeah. I think.
Krishna, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. The Zoom is closed.
Then with Pranam Maharaj.
Yeah, we can hear. You please
Please.
go ahead.
Share my slide.
Yeah, share your slides.
Shall we start?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkapatamaham Bande Shri Gurudina Taranam Vanchatal Tarubhya Kripa Sindhuva Ekja Patita Nam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. I would like to offer my humble obeisances to my spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Nishkam Shanta Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj and all the divine guardians who mercifully helped me to come out from the service of material science and engage this fallen soul in the loving service of absolute truth, the cause of all causes and the most beautiful absolute reality. My humble pranam to Host Institute, principal and faculty members, all the faculty members and sincere students and all the participants who helped us to conduct this international conference. As my topic is, today's talk is Reclaim Reality, Vedanta's Relevance in a World Enslaved by Science. Reclaiming reality means to reclaim ourselves, not as isolated part in the mechanical universe, but as an expression of a unified consciousness as a whole. Vedanta doesn't ask us to reject science. It asks us to humbly consider the Vedantic epistemology to understand the complete knowledge and about absolute truth, absolute reality. In an age dominated by scientific advancement, where we accept everything based on scientific proof, because we are enslaved by scientific methodology. In general, people are proud to say, where is God? And can you show me? Now, what is death? And who knows life after death? What is the law of karma? Can you explain me scientifically? People in general ask in this way. If yes, then only we will accept. They say that if you will show me scientifically that God is there and you can show me directly in front of my eyes, according to my sense perception, then I will accept it. Otherwise, I will not accept. This is the mindset of the modern people or modern world. They want to know everything with the lens of reductionism based on certain data, atoms, molecule, and algorithm. They want to reduce everything, even the highest reality, in some atoms and molecules. How it is possible? But in the ancient wisdom of Vedanta offer a profound countervalence. It invites us to look inward question and rediscover reality that transcends the physical process. Reclaim reality is a philosophical argument for looking beyond the purely materialistic framework of modern science to find a deeper, more meaningful understanding of existence. It proposes that by exploring the nature of consciousness and the ultimate reality of all the things as taught in Vedanta, we can overcome the limitation, improve by a narrow scientific perspective, and gain more complete, integrated view of reality. By scientific data, why it is so that scientific data is not totally perfect because it is based on instrumental precision, accuracy, and secondly, as mentioned in Vedanta, that human perception has four fundamental defects like committing mistakes. We commit mistakes, illusion. We are always illusion. What is this? And as for example, we can misunderstand sometimes rope with the snake. And also we have some cheating tendency always in any way. And so we have imperfect senses. Vedanta suggests that these inherent flaws prevent human from perceiving reality as it is. And that is why Vedanta recommend us and guide us towards the higher authority to overcome with this imperfection. Now, how modern science transform into the reductionistic attitude from the holistic attitude? What is real? We ask that what is real and what exists. In the case of modern science, when we ask in this way that what is real and what exists and what is the true nature of reality, and we ask that what determine this kind of question. And when researchers ask in this kind of question, they seek some methodology to understand and to know. This is, we can say, ontological crisis. And then next part come that how do we know? How do we know the reality? What is the difference between the belief and knowledge? How can we validate some knowledge? This knowledge is correct or not? And what methods are used to gain knowledge? This is the epistemological crisis because we don't know right actually approach to understand the higher reality. Our attitude actually and our lifestyle is based on our education, our lifestyle, our mindset. Everything is depend upon how we gain or how we are getting educated in the present system or present institution. In this way, in the way we get the education, we define the reality. We know some system of school as the system of school including acquiring knowledge, and they only show and guide us according to their particular predetermined syllabus or methodology. And as we see in the school system and education system. But in the case of ancient education system, school system, it was based on Vedantic curriculum. That time education was based on Abroha Pantha, the top-down process, Guru Shishya Parampara. At that time, education was for its sake. The main reason people pursued the education and attend the school were to only satisfy their inner quest, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, and longing for the spiritual advancement, to uplift oneself, to know the true identity, like Sambandha Gyan, Avidhe, and finally Prayojana. That time people were equipped with the elevated consciousness. That's why they are asking these kind of higher questions. What is, why I am here? What is the purpose of my life? Why why we are suffering? This kind of question they ask because they will know what is the highest benefit in the human birth. They never care about the highly paid jobs like today's culture-based motivation. That time People were very responsible and cooperative with the healthy lifestyle, and they long lived. None of them was suffered with the anxiety, depression, frustration, murder, and suicide, etc. But the prime focus of modern education is to acquire the higher degree and knowledge, information, upgrade their skills only to earn good package, highest package, to enjoy their life. They want to eat proper, drink proper, dance proper, and they want to enjoy the live-in relationship only. This kind of mindset they are bewildered, because they desire only, if their desire failed, then they try to attempt murder or suicide. And then how they will, where is the time to understand and to inquire about their higher reality for them? This is a difference between the ancient education system and the modern education system. In ancient education system, human birth was justified because of higher inquiry, gradually lead them from darkness of ignorance to the enlightenment of true knowledge of reality. People were very serious about to progress in the field of science of the soul and science of the God. And now, and in this modern education leads us towards the destruction, Atmahanta, killer of own soul, and thrown us in the repeated cycle of birth and death. Now, there are three pillars. Why this mindset changed from ancient education system to the modern education system? There are three pillars. Francis Bacon's, he want to establish, to power the nature and control the nature. And second one was Descartes. He want to actually want to establish that how we can understand the nature or reality. And the third one was Darwin's objective biology. Francis Bacon, he was a prominent personality in natural philosophy. He was just reformulated the Aristotle's conception of science as knowledge of necessary causes, what, where, when, and why. What mean, if we want to know anything, we first of all we want to know what this things is made up of, what kind of things, or the materials, we can say material cause. And next one is we are curious about to know what the form is of that particular thing. This is the we known as formal cause. And third cause was given by Aristotle. He, and the beginning, how that thing is get started, that is efficient cause. And also the last cause was the purpose of particular, to prepare or to make the thing, particular thing. What is the purpose of particular thing? These are the four causes, but Bacon's reformulated these causes. He didn't accept these causes, rejecting the Aristotle's logic, because assumed that our sensual experience and perception are the perfect. And he said that if we want to know anything, we can understand things through our sensual perception. He rejecting Aristotle, but he accept the Democritus view of Democritus was atomist, and he accepted his view that he said that the universe is made up of some indestructible particle known as atoms, and that he less known as atomist. And he gave preference to Democritus in natural philosophy, and rejecting the Aristotle's way of belief and logic of authority. And Bacon's always try to reject any approach which is based on any tradition, belief, and authority. He generally accept the empirical approach. Some more scientists is there who is a key person to change the mindset of the modern world to understand the reality, like Newton. In 17th century, he developed a mechanistic concept of reality in science. He said that he derived the inspiration from the Bacon's work. He said that his mindset has caused a harmonious, organic, or holistic worldview to the dangerous mechanistic worldview of reductionism. Because said that someone is a philosopher. He said that Bacon's said that in Bacon's view, we must subdue nature, penetrate its secret, and chain it to satisfy our desire only. In nature is only for us to fulfill our desire. We can change according to our need or requirement. In the past, while it was seen and acceptable that nature is the worshipable divine, worshipable, and it's a divine gift, but now nature is threatened by man who has become detached from it, because the men are ready to exploit the nature for its own sense gratification only. Descartes' epistemology, epistemologically he changed the mindset of modern people, modern world. He said that because I can think, therefore I am. That means he recognized the thinking substance in a human being. But he said that only human being has a thinking substance, and no other means like animals, plants, no other entity has the thinking substance, and any other entity can be mechanically can be cut into the mean pieces to understand the things. And but while in our Vedantic philosophy or Vedantic paradigm, it is said that no, there is fivefold truth. There are fivefold truth and realities: Ishvara, Ishwar, Jeev, time, Kala time, Prakriti, and Karma. Well, and mean each and every entity has the soul in our Vedanta said, but but Descartes said that I mean any animal, plant, nothing, they have not soul, and they are only the machine. And if we cut them and if they sound, then that sound is he compare that sound with some machine defects only. He never bothered that they have some soul or they feel pain. And Descartes explained that human beings are made up of two things: corporeal body and physico-chemical, material, tangible, and other is metaphysical, mind, non-corporeal. He also understood that there is something different in a living being, but he was never clear. He was not clear that why this machine moving and behaving like this. He was feeling that this machine is like there is some a ghost in a machine. Because there is a ghost, that machine is moving. He was not at all aware with the soul concept as given in our Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Vedantic scripture. It is given in Bhagavad Gita 7.4.5 shloka that it is Bhume Rapo Nala Vayu. Mean the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are all 8 constitute my separate material energy. God has said, Lord Shri Krishna said that 8 material energy is my, these are all my energy, separate, inferior energy, but these are all my energy. And again he said in next stroke that there is a superior energy. It is known as soul. Mean Descartes doesn't know what is in this machine, why this machine is moving, living machine as he said. But in our Vedanta, it is very clear that we are all made up of gross elements, subtle elements, 5 gross elements, 3 subtle elements, and 1 superior element, superior energy. This is called known as soul. And these both energy, material energy and superior energy, belongs to the Lord Krishna. And he followed some experiment, Descartes, and he proved that animal has no soul. And then Darwin was another pillar to change the mindset of the peoples of a modern world. He said that he followed the Descartes approach and based on the mechanistic Cartesian worldview, and and also the Newtonian physics. He was inspired with both and many other Western scientific thought. Darwin was inspired, and he said that he faith that all features of living organism can be explained by reducing them to their smallest constituents. And he tried to give a theory, while theory of origin of species, and he was assuming that first of all there is some the living entity is made up of some chemicals, and then gradually develops into the some chemical, and then some microorganism, and then gradually through the evolution that living entity developed into the human being. Like this, this was his just assumption, his hypothesis. But in our Vedanta, it is given that there are 84 lakh species of life. In Padam Puran, it is given that there are 84 species of life, and the gradual development of consciousness is based these all variety or and you can say biodiversity of the species is only through the development of the level of the consciousness, and the highest level of consciousness developed in the human being, and human being only can inquire about the highest reality, highest truth. In this way, we know that there is then how they change the mindset of the modern world. These all ancient science, you can say modern scientists in the modern world, they change the mindset of our modern world or our peoples, that they are thinking that we are not a living being, we don't have the soul, we are living only for our enjoyment, our purpose is only to earn money, like that. Now, why there's need to reclaim reality, and what is the relevance of Vedanta in today's world? The word enslaved with the science. What is the relevance of Vedanta? Vedanta's relevance because we are human beings. We should know our reality. We should know our reality. And what is the process to know the reality? Because if we go through the modern scientific approach, because modern scientific approach is empirical approach, and they only follow the observation, hypothesis, then they experiment the things, and then they predict. But after some time, if some scientists came and some new scientists came and they research again and they repeat the process, and they can give the different result and different theory. There is no any you can say no any permanent theory of reality for them, because modern science and modern methodology is changing methodology, always changing. But wow, there are so many fields in which the science got some achievement, but there are many mystery for them. They do not know what is the like in neuroscience, they do not know why subjective experience happening. They don't know about the consciousness. They don't know about they don't prove the about anything about the consciousness. Also, there are many examples they fail to explain. And the magazine, they publish 125 questions in Science magazine. This is the international magazine, Science. And they also actually wonder with so many questions that science do not have. Now, there are some topics and the field where our Vedanta give very profound explanation, like while modern science fail. He's a scientist, he's Nobel Prize winner. He also felt that I go through the in scientific inquiry or scientific analysis. I go through from the very ground level. He research and he study many field, but he could not find the right answer. And these now then how if we should not go through the scientific methodology, if to know the reality, then what we have to do? Because scientific methodology follow the empirical methodology, but in Vedantic inquiry is different. Vedantic inquiry is based on the aparoksha, adoksha, and aprakrita knowledge and the way of knowledge. And there are two ways. In modern science, we accept this this open. You are not here. Just, yes, yes. Oh. Yes, 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 Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj, you can come to me. Can you hear me now? I am audible? Okay, okay. Yes, in modern science, this approach is empirical actually, but in Vedantic inquiry, the approach is not empirical. It is based on the top-down process. It is top-down process. While my slide is not here. Okay, okay. Yes, you can see my slide. Okay. Yes, there is two ways of inquiry, because in modern science it is not possible to inquire the correct or the reality. Actually, the reality Vedanta is only can give us the perfect knowledge, because that process is came from the above, or we can say this is a process, Abroha Pantha process, and there are two process, Aroha Panth and the Abroha Panth. Aroha Panth, where when we start analyzing from the to know the reality, if we are start analyzing the atoms and molecules and reductionistic attitude, then this is the Aroha Pantha. While when we go to the Abroha Pantha, mean top-down process, this is as given in the Vedanta. And this is actually Vedanta is a topmost scientific and philosophical treatise of spiritual culture heritage of India. And as in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is given that Sa Brahma Vidya Sarva Vidya Pratisthita. Mean, if in Vedanta there is never a conflict between science and spirituality, and it is unique in Indian thought. And this is because of the fact that the science studies mainly the material nature, but Vedanta study both material nature and the spiritual nature, as we have already seen in the previous slides. In Vedanta, the inner word is not mere subjective byproduct, it is the very ground form of which all knowledge, empirical and spiritual knowledge, arises. Vedanta means of knowledge, pramana, include not just perception and inference, but also shabda, scripture, testimony, and direct realization gained through the Shruta Praman, the path of hearing from genuine representative of the Lord. This qualifies as Vidya, while independent attempt to understand the reality is known as, as we are studying in scientific experiment, it is known as avidya, because it is incomplete knowledge. When we in Vedanta or Vedanta Sutra, the first aphorism is given that it is second aphorism is given that the absolute truth is supreme Lord, and who is the primeval cause of all causes, creation, sustenance, and destruction, and of the manifested universe. And he is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestation, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. He first imparted Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahma and the original living entity. We can understand in this way. We can have a question that why we should accept Vedanta, why we should accept the Vedanta as an authority, because it is imparted, it is the top down process, and it is coming from the Lord himself. And why we accept? Because this is declared by the many authorities. It is given in we will, if you want to go to the end of depth, you can understand and you can study the Vedic scripture. And as first aphorism, we understand that first aphorism Vedanta says that Athato Brahma Jikasa, you have got the human form of life. Now you have to inquire about the your reality, about the why you are here. And next question is came that how we do know. This is the epistemology. We can reclaim epistemology or reclaim the reality only by the synthesis of both, mean the scientific way and the Vedantic way. Both, if we synthesize both, because Vedanta give us the, yes, Maharaj. No, Maharaj, just I'm concluding. Yes. Maharaj, my slide is not visible. I don't know. Yes. Okay. Yes, yes. Yeah. In concluding remark, as Bhakti Rakshak Siddhadev Goswami Maharaj said during a talk, that the backbone of the Upanishad is here. Yasmin janate sarvam idam vignate bhavati. Yasmin prapte sarvam idam praptam bhavati. Tad vignasa tad iva brahma. Translation: there is someone by knowing whom we can know everything, something by getting which we can get everything. Such a solution to life is there, that by getting that one thing we can get everything. Now, is such a thing possible at all? The Upanishad, the revealed truth says, yes, it is possible that if one is known, everything is known, except it. If food is put into your stomach, the whole body will be fed. How? If water is put on the root, the whole tree is nourished. How it is possible? We must understand the importance of the central truth. If that is known, if you have that, if you can find that, then you will have everything. It is possible, and revealed truth has extended that real center to us. And we can understand when modern science will be ready to accept the Vedantic epistemology or the synthesis of top-down and bottom-up approach, two ways of understanding the reality behind the question why, then only they will do everything in a humble mood, and by being subservient to the supreme reality, the cause of all causes, the ultimate cause, and will get all the answer, and will know easily what is reality and what is the how we should know it. Thank you, Parth. Dandavad Pranam. Yes. Yes. Actually, when we approach to understand the modern science, as in the today's world, we are actually eager to know the information and knowledge. We are searching Google, Chat GPT, etc., and etc. Right? But we forget that where this that information is coming. Right? We think Google is giving us the perfect knowledge, or the Chat GPT can give us that perfect knowledge. Right? But we should understand that knowledge is coming from where. This is that knowledge is coming from some person, right? He's programming that knowledge information, right? But what is the source of that particular information? He's collecting from some scriptures or some person, some authority. Then we have to understand that if we are going to understand, or we are going to understand the reality of particular thing, then we have to approach the proper approach. We need a proper approach, because if we try to understand only through the one way, we cannot understand the whole things. If you are interested, you are sincere to understand the complete knowledge, right? Then we have to humbly accept the both of the epistemology. There are actually there are two ways to bottom up approach and top down approach, right? Bottom up approach is when we are trying to understand anything, everything through our efforts, right? But another part is top down process, right? When we are trying to understand anything through our approach, that can be the wrong information, that can be the mistake. We can say that can be the false knowledge, not a completely true knowledge, right? Then, because as in Vedanta is given that we have the imperfect senses, right? We can have some illusion. We cannot our senses are not perfect. We cannot understand by ourselves through by the bottom up approach or the
Can you be very brief in your answer?
when
Yes.
we go yes, when we approach a person or authority to know the exact information or to the right information, then it is easy. As you if you want to know, suppose you want to learn the programming or you want to learn the mathematics, if you learn from the directly from the books, you will take too much time, and maybe you are not perfect in that particular knowledge. But if you approach to some teacher of mathematics, then you can understand easily. In this way, if we will approach to know the reality is as it is, then we have to approach a seer, we have to approach a particular authority, then we can understand. And this particular authority is Krishna, center of, and that knowledge is coming through the parampara system or the top down process or the abrohapan.
Thank you. I want to add, actually, there is two types of knowledge. One is subjective knowledge and is objective knowledge. Subjective knowledge means you look at an object, you have your own idea. Another person look at that, he has his own idea. A bacteria will look at a object, it thinks it's eating object. But some other person may be thinking that used for other purpose. So because the object does not belongs to us, our knowledge is defective. We are not created those all objects. It's not our object. So thus that is subjective knowledge, and it is different for different individuals. And objective knowledge means tracing the vision of the owner of that object. That is God. That knowledge is same for everybody. So that system Vedanta is saying is perfect, but you have to find the proper channel to connect with that supreme to get that knowledge. That is known as Guru Parampara, unbroken chain of Guru Parampara. So this is very simple understanding, but there is more science and detailed understanding is there. If you are interested, you can discuss. So with this, I think we conclude this in a talk. Thank you very much, Dr. Sumangala, because we are running short of time. So we move on to our next speaker, and I think Dr. Jagannatham, MB Jagannatham, he is speaking on life, knowledge and being, an epistemological inquiry into the origin of life through modern science and Vedanta. So he is a program manager, Federation of Asian Biotech Association, FABA, Hyderabad, India, and he is a long-time scientist at CCMB, Center for Cellular Molecular Biology at Hyderabad. and he's going to give a talk. I think morning we had also his introduction. Let me see if it is there here for me to read the detail. I don't think it is. Anyway, so I think Jagannathamji, you can start. I could not locate your other detail bio.
నారాయణ సమారంభం వ్యాసశంకర మధ్యమం అస్మదాచార్య పర్యంతం వందే గురు పరంపరం. This is what is our lineage from Narayana.
You can stop sharing the
now
screen.
You
That
can
screen, Zoom screen, you can stop.
you can show the slides.
Yeah, his PowerPoint you can.
There. First of all, I would like to thank Bhakti Nishkam Shantaji and his organization, Siddhartha PB Siddhartha College, for putting together such a wonderful program, which we have been doing for years together. Shanta Maharaj has been doing this for the last several years, trying to spread the knowledge of Vedanta and its relevance to the current day world. Because people think that only materialism is only overtaken and we are completely controlled by the materialism. Materialism may be important to some extent, dharmartha kama moksha. Some materialistic advantage will be there through science and science developments. But we also should know what is the ultimate truth. What does it lays? When we look at this, we see some different angle also. That will give us an idea when we are under stress how to live. So this is all another angle to the life, which the Western countries have little knowledge, but the entire knowledge is generated through, they call it as Eastern philosophy. Let us go through this and see. Just now we heard from doctor from NIMS, the state between life and death, the transition state. There is a life, there is a death. But what she described mostly is the transition state, either neither death nor in between. How to decide whether it is dead or not, or how to decide whether they are alive or not. So this complex situation is very difficult, particularly for the practicing doctors. But it is important that we also should know that such kind of situations are there and how to overcome such kind of situations. It's not easy. So I will be focusing my talk on this life, knowledge of being. Can I have the next slide, please? I hear you. Yeah. Now what I will talk to you is, what is the origins of life? This kind of a question was asked both by Vedantis and as well as by scientists. Ever since humans started thinking, this question also started. Where from we have come? What is our origin? So science has made some attempts in this particular direction. So this experiment done by Urey Miller in 1952, people thought as an outstanding and leading experiment. What he did, essentially he took methane, hydrogen, water vapor in a particular setup, and he has given an electric spark. In that, he thought that he is creating a situation like what the primitive environment on earth was. That's what his opinion. And in this process, when he put these things, he was able to see the formation of some amino acids and also some other molecules. Then they thought, okay, this is how molecules are forming. So from molecules, biomolecules, and from biomolecules when they come together, somehow life has originated on the earth. So this is the kind of ideas that the people have. So they thought this as a landmark experiment in understanding the origins of life. And there are some more experiments also done. This modern science argues that it is atoms that comes together through physical and chemical means and forms molecule. This is physical chemistry or physics chemistry, these things tell us that those molecules, it is possible to form such molecules in the laboratory. The molecules lead to the formation of biomolecules. Even this is also possible because we can see, we can make those molecules in the lab, which I myself has made those molecules in the laboratory. And somehow these molecules come together. That what is that somehow? They call it a random process. A random process, these biomolecules comes together and form the life. And this whole theory is called abiogenesis. Abiogenesis means from molecules to life. So there is no other media in between, there is no intermediate. So this is what the people thought is one of the theories of origins of life. But I will be focusing a little on this for further arguments. And then subsequently, current day technologies, when we see in biology, the omics technologies are the current technology. What is omics? We have proteomics, we have genomics, we have metabolomics, interactomes. So like this omics means to study all the molecules that are present in a particular cell or a tissue. That means if I give you a biological cell, I will be able to tell you what are all the proteins that are present in that. I can do that, and I can give you the complete genome sequence of that, the complete genome of that particular cell, if it is a unicellular or multicellular. Similarly, metabolic. That means essentially all the chemicals or biochemicals that it is composed of, including their quantities, it is possible to measure in the laboratory. Now the question comes, if the abiogenesis theory is correct, I will give you all the molecules in bottles. Now can you form life in the laboratory? This is the question. How many of you feel yes or how many of you feel no? There are some no's here. Are there any yes? Students, I want to know because there are some medical students also are there. Can we form life in the lab? We are only laughing but not answering. Are there anybody condemning him? Yes. Because I gave you all the biomolecules, the entire inventory. Huh? Yeah, okay. All necessary, but no, that's okay. That I am not yet come to that statement. So here, the answer is clear, no. Anywhere on the globe, it is not possible to do it. So therefore, what does this say? The no, I have already given the answer. But students are not, this is an open book examination. Even if I give open book examination, you are not answering. And there are no marks in this exam. All of you will be passed. We'll come in the discussion part. Okay. So therefore, what does this tells us? We know the principles of physics, chemistry, mathematics, or whatever are necessary to some extent, but not sufficient to understand life. For biology, without understanding what is life, biology is incomplete. Will you agree or don't agree? Because there are so many doctors, upcoming doctors and science biotechnology students. Isn't it? Without understanding what is life, biology is incomplete. This is what is my statement. Do you say we don't require to understand it? So we have to understand what it is. Because we are all living beings. Without understanding what is life and death, what is there, So how do you call off that somebody is died? And there is some more progress in this. To understand what is the minimum amount of genes that are required. Okay, now that people have come up to some situation, if molecules are given, we have not been able to do. And she told two approaches, just my previous speaker. There is a reductionistic approach and a holistic approach. So here they tried, they took a bacterium, mycobacterium. This is Craig Venter's laboratory. What they have done, they have taken a bacterium and they keep on removing the genes from that. Because I told you just no complete genome. So how many genes? For example, this genome has around 900 genes. Out of those 900 genes, they keep on removing genes in a random fashion. Some in functional prediction, some function not known. And ultimately, they created an organism with 473 genes. That 473 genes appears to be essential, and that bacterium with 473 essential is able to replicate. So that means it is able to divide in the laboratory. So they thought that those 473 genes are necessary for life. So these are the minimum number of genes required for life. And then the White House declared that we have created life in the laboratory. Do you know what is White House? What is White House? American capital, where President of America lives. That is White House. So statement came from White House after this experiment that we have created life in the laboratory. How many people agree here? Only one or two are telling. Actually, students are not telling any answer. Huh? Why? They did not create an organism. They knocked out the genes, removed the genes, and with the minimum number of genes, they have shown that it is happening. And another thing, if you enucleate the bacteria, that means you remove the nucleus from the bacteria, and those 473 synthetic genes, if you again incorporate into the bacteria divided. Okay, this is synthetic biology. This is a problem of synthetic biology. They have been able to do it. The answer no is correct because there is already some cytoplasmic elements and other things are there. You did not completely destroy the bacteria. It is like a open heart surgery. Or you remove the heart or organ transplantation, remove heart and put a new heart into the person. This is something like that. Such kind of an experiment. So that's why it's not created. So therefore, so far with the existing knowledge in science, we have been able to see what is life and what is the minimum number of genes. We are playing around. We are beating around the bush, but we did not really pinpoint what is life. So then, getting into the recent studies, this is the same. So how it originates and what is life? When we want to see, just 5 minutes back I am speaking to my close friend. Now he is no more. All the biomolecules are there. But what is it that is gone? We have not been able to answer. But still he is fully active, healthy. But now no more. Something has gone out. What is it that is gone out? So science, is there any detection method? We don't have any detection method to see whether something has gone out or not. Otherwise some markers, doctors have already explained us what are all the things, parameters, they will say somebody is dead or alive. But that is what is the situation. So here, one thing very clear. This has two component system, at least generally. One is material part, one is the non-material part. So the non-material part is the one which is leaving the body, and once the non-material part leaves the body, that is inactive. Body is inactive and we call it as dead, briefly, in general terms. So therefore, what is that non-material body? Did science get into that to understand what is this? So far the answer is no. So therefore, tools of science and epistemological standpoint of view, scientific knowledge is limited by tools, observations, and conceptual frameworks available at any given time. The technologies are keep changing. Whatever the technology that we have today, it will not be there. We are coming out with advanced technologies for subsequent times. So modern biology excels at answering how, that is the question that it answers, how genes function, how do cells communicate, how do organisms adapt. We worked on co-adaptation of bacteria, taking Antarctic bacteria as model systems. So you can see all those things that can be done. But the question why, that why matter becomes alive, why consciousness arises, is fundamentally of a different order. And this is important that we should understand this angle. So this subjective experience and consciousness, while physics and chemistry underpin biological process, life exhibits emergent properties that cannot fully be predicted from atomic components. Scientific methods only rely on objectives and measurable data. Whereas, however, consciousness, the subjective awareness present in all living beings, irrespective of what it is, what the species is, the life is life, whether it is bacteria, unicellular or higher organism, plant, animal, king, whatever it is, life is the same, there is no difference. Cannot be captured by instrumentation. This introduces a profound epistemic gap. Life is not only a biochemical, but experiential. So that is the important point that we should focus on. That experiential part is the one. These challenges suggest understanding origins of life may require not only the empirical science, But philosophical and metaphysical insights, this is only through Vedanta. So that means if there is any other part of knowledge that explains you, we should explore that to understand it. So Vedanta has different components. Just let me see. Yeah. So for example, if we say yoga, all of you might have known, we celebrate International Yoga Day because our beloved Prime Minister went to UN and convinced almost 186-96 countries all through the globe now accepted that as a science and they are practicing. So that was such an ancient science which has emanated from India. And it is also a part of life science. But our people did not name it as life science, but it is so. If you did not give a name, it does not mean that it is not so. Sorry. Generally, it has two components. One is mostly what we see are 196 countries, what they are practicing. Is it looking at health, well-being, physical fitness? So these are the kinds they are generally looking at. But Veda has next angle. What is that? That is meditation, samadhi sthiti. Samadhi sthiti means is a state, where different yogis get into that state, and that is of a different spiritual state that people can attain. So mostly people are not looking at, people are looking at the first part only, whatever it is. That let us. So this second component of meditation will lead you to the form of bliss. Bliss means is highest level of happiness. That is bliss. So do we have any knowledge about life with this or from this? Let us see. So here, as we were telling in the morning session also with Bhakti Nishkam Shanta's talk, we heard that life comes from life and matter comes from life. These are the things which is, can anybody dispute that? This is from Vedanta. Vedanta says life comes from life, not from material. So far what we said, life comes from materials, matters, atoms and molecules. But now here it says a paradigm shift. Life comes from life. Our consciousness comes from consciousness. Consciousness is inferential proof of or symptom of the existence of soul or the living entity. Here what it says, the origin of everything, whether it is life or matter, is come from only one supreme cognizant being, which we call it as Paramatma, or which Vedantis call it as Paramatma. Because different people call it with different, call it supernatural power, or Chaitanya, or soul, Paramatma, Atma, Paramatma. We are Jivatma, God is Paramatma. So different names, but it is ultimately the one. Here this paper, this communicative and integrative biology, this paper is written by Bhakti Nishkam Santa in 2015, which is an interest, to me at least I felt that it is a very interesting paper, explaining what is this life and consciousness. And when we compare till this point between modern science and Vedanta, what it says, modern science says life comes from molecules and matter and that compose them. Matter is important. Even Vedanta says matter is important. But life comes from life is more important than the molecules alone. So origins of everything are supreme cognizant being and Paramatma. Then if there is a supreme cognizant being, what is me? Who am I? Because that is Paramatma. Did I come directly from Paramatma? Who am I? Where from I have come from? So that is an important question to ponder with. That will give some answer. Proposing Satya Jnanadi Rupa of Jiva. Now here, this also somebody spoke, my earlier speakers, that this knowledge, when I am talking to you, this is called Jagrata Avastha. All of you are awake, isn't it? Anybody sleeping? Because of post-lunch session, some sleep is possible. So that's why I am just asking. Because we have 3 states every day. One is Jagrata Avastha, when we sleeping, and there's a deep sleep, Sushupta Avastha. We call it as Sushupta Avastha. The 4th one I am not going into it. So I hope nobody is in the 2nd level. We are in Jagrata Avastha. This is called, I am talking to you. I am listening. I am able to see so many things, mic, this figures, photos, everything. This is called Jagrata Avastha. This, everything appears real here. Okay. So when I go to sleep state, in sleep state also I have dreams. Is a dream real? Do you feel that it is not real at that stage? When we are in the state of dream, we never feel that it is unreal. But you will feel that it is unreal only when you wake up. But in the case of deep state, that is also not there. You don't even know what is happening in your surrounding. Then when you wake up, oh, I have slept very happily. Isn't it? That is the state that you have. When you state that, this is called Sushupti Avastha. The knowledge that says that I am speaking to you, talking to you, the Jagrata Avastha, and even in the dream state, this is called, in this state, those are all temporary, and in the deep state, we don't know anything. We don't know anything is different from the knowledge that I don't know. After waking up, you are telling, I don't know. I don't know is different. Isn't it? I don't know is different, but the knowledge is that I am there. You are still there, but you are in deep state. So in all the three stages, what says that knowledge is the same? Did you agree or not? The knowledge that says in the Jagrata Avastha or Swapnika Avastha or Sushupta Avastha, irrespective of my three states or your three states, whatever is there, the knowledge that remains in me is the one and the same. And that knowledge is the same tomorrow, next week, next year, next century, next yuga. So, yes, that is permanent. That is permanent. The knowledge that is there is permanent. It won't go anywhere. Remaining are temporaries. My state sleep is temporary. My wake-up state is temporary. But these are temporary. But the knowledge is permanent. Okay? So, therefore, here it is simple, very simple. This visible knowledge only, when one different observable are not there due to properties and nature of the material. If there is no change in nature, it is only one. That is that knowledge that does not have any change. Then it is how? Here is a simple example that many of the people give. Ghatakasha, Patakasha. Ghatakasha means I have a pot. I have kept a pot here. I say sky is there in the pot. How many people agrees? How many people disagrees? See, Vedanta is very logical. Unless you read it carefully and with proper examples, you cannot understand Vedanta. I put a pot here. There is sky outside. This is also sky, outer space only. We are also part of the outer space because we are not directly connected to earth. We are separated from earth. We are on the earth but separated, isn't it? Unlike tree. Tree is planted in that. So, there is sky. In the pot also there is sky. Yes or no? The same air is there in the pot. Whatever is here is there in the pot. For example, the pot is broken. What happens? It goes and mixes with the sky. Isn't it? That is the only relation between Jivatma and Paramatma. As simple as that. So that is called Ghatakasha. This is called Patakasha. So therefore, this knowledge, whatever is there, is always there and it is universal and it is present here. So this is the nature of Jnana, whether it is deep sleep, Jagrata Avastha. In Jagrata Avastha, what we call it as Vyavaharika Jnanam, Vyavaharika Satyam. Because I am able to see. In the dream, the state of dream, it is Pratibhasika. In Sanskrit term, they call it as Pratibhasika Satyam. Pratibhasika Satyam means it is true, but it is not true. It is true at that point of time. Otherwise, it is not true. So that is called Pratibhasika Satyam. So in deep sleep, you don't know anything. That knowledge that you don't know anything is important, So now the conclusion between this small part is the Jnana in the Sushupti stage or deep sleep is different from Ajnana. But not from Jnana of Jagrata Avastha and Swapnika Avastha state. Because all the three states it recognizes that I am one. But only thing is there are three states for me. Why in this way, Jnana and Jagrata, Swapna or Sushupti states are the same and only one. So this is continuously it is there. Next day, next week. So what the conclusion from this is, Masabda Yogakalpeshu, Gata Gamne Swayam Khada, Nodeti Nasyameteka, Samvidesha Swayam Prabha. What is this knowledge that I have in me is self-illuminating. The conclusion for this is, I am only the person who knows that. Do you know about my dream? Nobody can say. But now here I will ask you one question. I am here. Do I have to ask Bhakti that I have to prove me that I am here? Should I have to? I myself is self representation. I don't have to have any evidence from anybody to say that I am here. The same is true for you, same is true for anybody. Isn't it self-illuminating? The soul that is present in us is self-illuminating. It does not require any other source to say that I am here or to have to prove me that I am here. So therefore, this knowledge is self-illuminating. That is important. The property of Atma is understood by this consciousness. I am self-illuminating, and what I think I only know, nobody else. That is true for everybody else. So this samvit, what they call it as samvit, the consciousness is called, this is called soul. Now I am coming to the actual word of that Chaitanya or knowledge slowly turning out into soul. That is what we call soul, is the most significant form of the pleasure. Nobody thinks that I am not supposed to be, I want to die. Will anybody want to feel that they want to die? They are thinking that the physical body is me, so nobody wants to die. This supreme love to one's own self is akarana karanam. Liking to me, I am supposed to be here. I want to be here permanently. This is self-liking. This self-liking is akarana karanam. Does it require any other reason? Everybody feels so, isn't it? This is true for everybody. So that is, and this love to self is called Paramananda. That is called bliss. But bliss has a different meaning also in Vedanta. I am not getting into that one. It is a much higher state of happiness. So therefore, this love of liking will be there when you recognize its pleasure. For example, if I give you a sweet, when you eat, then only you know that it is sweet, and you can tell others, oh, this is sweet, so and so objective is sweet. Okay? If you don't know its taste, then you cannot tell whether it is sweet or not. Similarly, the situation is when I say Paramatma is great, I should know what is the sweetness of Paramatma. Isn't it? Then only you accept, yes, that is great. So this Paramatma has Sat Chit Ananda Rupa. And this myself also has that Sat Chit Ananda Rupa. I am supreme. I want to be here. I want to be happy. Isn't it? This happiness, according to Vedanta, this supreme absoluteness also possesses Sat Chit Ananda Rupa. And why we are not able to understand that Paramatma is such a great person, or Paramatma has so sweetness? Why are we not able to understand? What is the problem? What is lying in between us and Paramatma? This is the problem. Yeah, okay, I have to conclude fast. So therefore, if this knowledge of Paramatma is recognized, then the interest of the worldly pleasures diminishes. We can see two examples here, at least partially. Bhakti Nishkama, Shanta, Bhakti Vijnana Muni. They don't have the kind of worldly pleasures what we want. They think that this one is different, the world is different, the vision is different, isn't it? So that means they have already recognized the Paramatma Swarupa, Sachitananda Rupa. What is that they have recognized? And what prevents from recognizing this? That is an important aspect. This is where this for example, if my son is reciting Veda, there are 40 students, he is reciting Veda. If he is reciting Veda before me, I can say, yes, he is my son who is reading. But among 40 children, he is reading. Will I be able to recognize his voice? Bleak, isn't it? Contaminated. Maybe if I focusedly hear a little bit able to see, otherwise not able to see. What is it that is preventing me from recognizing that voice from the rest of the things? Just think over. So that is the kind of thing that prevents us. This Paramatma Supreme Self Sachidananda, the voice is very bleak. What is it that prevents? This is called, which prevents us to recognize that. In the case of Paramatma, In the case of recognizing voice, that is the contaminating voice, surrounding voices which I am not able to see. But what prevents me from directly knowing about Paramatma? How do I bring this analogy here? When we are coming to this understanding and analyzing nature, then avidya and prakriti is the root cause of it and should be understood. The association of the image of Satchitananda Brahma Swarupam is called the Prakritic nature. And this Prakriti, this is of two types. One is Maya, one is Avidya. There are two that are preventing us. One is Maya, one is Avidya. These are the ones which are hindering us to recognize the greatness of the Paramatma. What are those two? Some I think Bhakti Nishkamashanta tried to explain, but we will get into that a little more. Which is the hindrance in the case of Atma? In the case of Atma, the ignorance is tied with three qualities. Everybody will have these, but in different proportions. This is gunas are sattva gunam, raja gunam and tamo gunam. These are the three gunas. These gunas, everybody will possess these three gunas, but the extent of a particular one is more. Somebody will have more tamas guna, somebody more sattvika guna. So that proposition, if you make everything 100 in the statistical language, the proportions will vary among different individuals, and that gives the nature for the individual. Why somebody is so angry, somebody is so sober, we can speak to him very smooth, he doesn't do anything non-harmful, somebody is very harmful. So because of these three gunas, that characters are coming. When self-associated with pure sattva, devoid of rajoguna and tamoguna, that is called maya. That is pure sattvic, that one. Then a common metaphor is that of a mirror. For example, I give you a mirror which is coated with slight dust. Then I want to see my face in the mirror. Shall I able to see the mirror? My face in the mirror? It is also bleakly seen, isn't it? That depends on the extent of dust that is present there. And that dust is the maya. And once if I clear, then I will be able to see the face. So that maya is the one which prevents Brahma, Paramatma to be seen there. So in between that Rajoguna and Tamoguna, these things are coming in between and preventing you to go and see what Paramatma is. So unless you get rid of those things, you will not be able to see this image. In this case, the image is that of Brahma, Paramatma. When the self is trained with Sattva and Raja, it becomes Avidya. When it goes to the other two qualities, it called Avidya. Avidya and Maya. These are the two reasons why we are falling into the trap. We are not able to understand those problems. Once we come out of those things, the Avidya ensures the individual soul, jiva, and create illusion and separateness between physical and subtle bodies. When we say 3 stages of my, every day I am undergoing 3 stages, that is because of Avidya. Avidya says that I am sleeping, I am awakening and all those things. Otherwise I am always there. Always I am alive. I am alive is the real point there. But which makes me to make I am sleeping, I am dreaming, I am doing that. That is because of that Avidya. When you wake up, then you know that it is only because of Avidya. So this Avidya ensures that individual jiva and other creations, this distinguishes between me and several other objectives, whether it is animals, non-animals, trees, everything will have the same soul. But that Avidya distinguishes you between these different bodies. Okay. So now, jiva is different from Ishvara. Jiva means Paramatma, and we are, yes, I am going to conclude it. 5 minutes is okay? Okay, I will complete. So due to Avidya, he appears in different states. Because I told you, even we are in 3 different states because of Avidya. So all others also being looked into that because of that one. Otherwise all are same, one. Same. The life that is present in all is one and the same. Why are you thinking that there are differences? No differences at all. So Avidya is responsible for Sthula Sukshma Sariras and Karana Sarira. This possesses Ahankara. That again another character because of the tamas guna, sattva tamas rajogunas. So this also will come into picture. And those who recognize the knowledge that erases the difference between Karana Sarira is called Prajna. Though the person who recognizes that these states are the one and the same, who recognizes this, he is called, that realization is called Prajna. Okay, and those who realized that knowledge is called Prajna. Prajnudu, తిడతారు కొంతమంది చిన్నప్పుడు, విన్నారో లేదో, ఏదో ప్రాజ్ఞ బుద్ధి తక్కువైందిరా, ప్రాజ్ఞుడు కాదు అప్రాజ్ఞుడు. ఈ ప్రాజ్ఞ అనేటువంటి దిస్ ప్రాజ్ఞ కేమ్ ఫ్రమ్ దట్. దోస్ హూ రికగ్నైజెస్ దట్ దెర్ ఇస్ నో డిఫరెన్స్ ఈజ్ ప్రాజ్ఞ, దట్ వీ కాల్ హిమ్ యాజ్ ప్రాజ్ఞుడు. సో ది జీవ ఎన్గల్ఫ్డ్ విత్ అవిద్య ఈజ్ ఫీలింగ్ ద డిఫరెంట్ లైక్ బాడీస్ ఆఫ్ యానిమల్స్, బర్డ్స్, హ్యూమన్స్, డిపెండింగ్ ఆన్ ఇట్స్ టు extent of that knowledge, extent of the buddhi. If the buddhi is superior, then you see only one in among everything. Okay, so the jiva engulfed, so the sthola sukshma shariras are called avidya. If the sthola sukshma shariras are separated from the body, the remaining part is atma. Now I come to the other point. So what is atma? The entire physical body that is removed, sthola sukshma karana sharira, when I remove this, whatever is remaining after subtracting this is atma. That means atma is not a physical entity. The physical entity is only this body. So that is important issue. This enjoyment, the further enjoyment of life forms, panchabhutas are created. Panchabhutas gives you the biodiversity. I will just skip this. What it says, panchabhutas came from Paramatma directly, and it is a combination of nature and tamoguna, and making, because of that Bhagavan's association with that tamoguna, this srishti has been made. And here I will tell you an important aspect. What it says, what is the relation between me and Brahma? This is very, very important. When I say life come from life, I should also say what is the relation between me and Brahma. Very crucial point. This is abhinna nimitto karanam Brahma. Abhinna nimitto pada karanam Brahma. This is what Vedanta says. Abhinna means not different. Nimitta, upadana, two karanas. What is nimitta and upadana karana? Morning he has explained one of them. I want to make this building. Am I the building? I am not the building. Isn't it? I can make a car, I can make a watch, I can make a computer, but I am not the computer. So it came from me. So there I call nimitta karanam. I am only nimitta karanam. I am only here. My idea is the one that it came. Did God created the whole world through that? This is the question Vedantis has asked. And then they come out another one also. If it is so, how life come from life? So he is both. We have come from him, but not associated with him. Is Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter 2 slokas are there. Now there is no time for me to recite those things or to explain. If you read those two, appears to be contradicting each other, but that explains this concept very well. So therefore this Brahma has a position, both we are coming from him and he is in us, but we are not in him. Did you understand? He is in us and we are not in him. That we have to understand. See, this is a Vedanta. Understanding is not easy. You require some time, thinking, and then it is possible to understand. So therefore, this Upadana Karanam is nothing but Prakriti. So through Prakriti he is doing. So that we will see next. Yeah, how bodies, over, this is last but one slide. So how different bodies have appeared. This is Panchabhutas, this is very clearly explained in Vedanta. Panchabhutas, they became Panchikarana. Over. This Panchikarana means this Jala, Agni, Vayu, each one has particular property, and this Panchikarana becomes, here I will tell you, this gross forms. Yeah. So here I have to rush through because of the timing. How this life is originated, Vedanta says, when Pancha Mahabhutas acquire Pancha Rajagunamshas, life has come. The clearly Pancha Mahabhutas acquiring Pancha Rajagunas, life has come, and this has 15 forms, the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, Panchabhutas 5, this Pancha Rajagunas 5, Pranas 5, Buddhi, Manasu. These 17 called Sukshma Sharira. That Sukshma Sharira is responsible for our dreams and all those things, which we are getting in that dream. And this
So thank
prana,
you.
yeah, over, yeah. So he is thanking me. So I have to complete this one. So this, then we will see the body, various stage of karma, Sthola Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, those three subtle stages of this one. And due to Panchabhutas, all the life forms have found. This is biodiversity, because what we call in science biodiversity is formed because of the differences in these properties of this. And now this is conclusion. Manifestation of Paramatma, life is part of the universe. It is not different from that. It is a part of that. It emerges and merges with it. It emerges and merges with it. It is a continuous process. It has neither beginning nor ending. When I am teaching this to the students, people are telling, how is it possible? I gave them a simple example. I will give you a circle. Now tell me what is the beginning and ending in the circle. If you tell me, origin of life also the same way. So this is the conclusion. So Jagadguru Shankaracharya, the Vedic knowledge explained the reality. There is neither beginning nor ending, no origin, no evolution. It's a continuous process. The theories of origin and evolution are rejected and explained by Vivartavadam. Shankaracharya explained this. Origin of theory and evolutionary theory were conclusively demolished, and he said Vivartavadam. What is Vivartavadam? Aham Brahmasmi. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mijja, Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. ఈ జీవుడు బ్రహ్మ నుంచే వచ్చాడు, ఈ రెండింటికి భేదం లేదు, ఈ అభిన్నం అనేటువంటి చెప్పడమే ఆయన చెప్పినట్టు. సో అకార్డింగ్ టు దట్ బ్రహ్మ సత్యం జగన్ విద్య జీవో బ్రహ్మయో నాపర ఇస్ ద కంక్లూజన్. సో దిస్ మెటాఫిజికల్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ ఆఫ్ కాన్షియస్నెస్, ఏ థియరీ ఆఫ్ మ్యాటర్ త్రూ పంచభూతాస్, this is the general conclusion. An account of the subtle casual dimensions of life, a deeper understanding of knowledge and awareness. So if you look at the whole globe, it is dynamic.
So I think the other speaker is waiting. We cannot extend like
So
that.
this is dynamic, and
So-
acknowledgements.
Thank you. Thank you. So we thank Dr. Jagannatham ji for his extensive description of life come from life, and some of the explanation from Keval Advaitavad of Shankaracharya, actually which is being critiqued by later on by Ramanuja and Madhva and also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are schools of Vedanta must be studied in schools and colleges. Then there can be a dialogue between the different schools of Vedanta also, and also from science and also philosophy and arts. This dialogue is very essential for harmony. Now the floor is open for only one question because we are running short of time. Is there any questions anybody have?
Yeah, somebody was asking in between. If anybody has a question. Huh?
Yes. So this nimitta means the Maya. Nimitta actually means the instrumental cause.
কোথায় দেখাচ্ছ এটা?
Yes. So this Maya has made the world.
দাঁড়াও।
And then the Abhina, that means this Maya is also dependent upon Brahma. No, but nimitta generally means Maya. Instrumental cause. Okay, sir.
Thank you, and more discussion we can have in the break. In the break, we'll have more discussion after two talks. So
Yeah.
he wants a Xerox copy of your slide. So then we move on. Yeah. Just 1 minute, not more than 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay. Here what I say, I am 100% secular. I will agree both Ramanuja, Shankara and Madhva. I have no difference between them. But the ideas are different, but all are the same. Okay. But the way they presented, we have to understand them keenly. So I am 100% secular. All are Vedic, derived from Vedas, and I agree all those which are derived from Vedas. No.
Thank you. So a big round of applause to Dr. Jagannatham. So we move on to our next speaker, and our next speaker is Dr. Sanjeev Prasad. He is going to present on Search for Seat of Soul, Neurosciences and Vedic Sciences Concept. So Dr. Sanjeev Prasad he practices at Psychiatry and Gynec Clinic in Bikaspuri, Delhi, Mata Charan Devi Hospital in Janakpuri, and Bhatita Global Hospital, what is that? Endosurgery Institute in Paschim Bihar. He is member of Delhi Psychiatry Society, Indian Psychiatry Society, Indian Association of Private Psychiatry, Indian Association of Genet Geriatric Psychiatry, Indian Association of Industrial Psychiatry, and American Psychiatric Association. Some of the services provided by the doctors are addiction, drug abuse, and addiction, general psychiatry, abnormal, unusual, strange behavior, and cognitive behavioral therapy. So we'd like to hear from him. Unfortunately, Dr. Sumangala and Dr. Sanjeev Prasad, they're supposed to be here, and they, because of the Indigo's flight problems, they could not came. So we are hearing them online. Can you put him on Zoom, Bajagopal? He's there in Zoom, right? Okay, so screen is not coming. Screen. Okay. Dr. Sanjeev, can you hear us? You have to unmute.
I have unmuted.
Yeah, your video is not on.
Is it okay now?
Your video is not on, but we can see your screen.
Okay, the video is not on.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Sanjeev Prasad, and I was supposed to present this in person, but could not because our flight could not take off from Delhi. The theme of the conference is 1 minute. The theme of the conference is very interesting, and of course, it has people from various specialities, various disciplines, and we are going to have very different perspectives on this theme. We may have many questions answered, and we'll have many more questions that arise from this discussion deliberation. I am a doctor, a psychiatrist, and our journey starts with a dead body. When we are just 17 years old, we dissect a dead body, and then we pass through phases of seeing, disease, death, disabilities, and sorrows. And as psychiatrists, we also see mental suffering. So all through, there are questions of life, death, and human existence, and many more deeper questions. So our bent of mind towards spirituality comes up, and some of us do step into a search for spirituality, soul, and these kind of questions. So far as psychiatry is concerned, back in the 1800s, it was not even considered as a medical science. It was labeled uh, as doctors were labeled as alienist and the patients were labeled as aliens. It was considered to be the brain was considered to be a seat of madness. It was only in the 1900s that a more scientific explanation by biologically based and psychological approaches, we could define psychiatry. Psychiatry itself, over a period of time, got interested in spirituality. And you'll be surprised to know that previous century, the religious beliefs were often viewed through a pathological lens. Like Sigmund Freud has linked religion with neurosis. But especially over some time, like Diagnostic and Statistical Manual 4 put spirituality as a category. And then there was a section in spirituality in the psychiatry branch. So it was spirituality and health. And 2010, we had a section of spirituality and health in World Psychiatric Association. So my topic is trying to find the seat of the soul. Uh, I'll try to I'll try to give it two perspectives, that is through science and through Vedic studies. First, the definition of souls. The spiritual part of person that is believed to exist after the body is dead. This is a Western thought. Then we have certain thoughts from the Indian, our culture, our scriptures. So Vedas. According to Vedas, the soul is the eternal, unchanging, indestructible essence of a living being, distinct from the physical body. As you all know, it goes through life and birth cycles to finally attain moksha. And it has got three qualities: Sat, Chit, Anand, that is eternity, consciousness, and bliss. Upanishads go a little further and they identify soul with the soul, universal soul of Brahma, a concept of non-duality which is encapsulated in the phrase Tat Tvam Asi, thou art that. Hmm. Ye- yes, I will. Hmm. Ah, yeah, thank you. So, taking the slides forward, so according to the Upanishads, uh, it talks of non-duality and talks of the universal soul and the individual soul as being identical. And as we can see, the soul, according to Upanishad, is not limited by the body. Now, we can talk of the soul on two levels. One is subjective feeling, subjective knowledge, and then trying to figure out the soul through scientific means, because our aim is to find out the seat of the soul. But so when we say subjective means the soul is witnessed in deep pain during induction of anesthesia or intoxication with psychoactive drugs, near death experiences during meditation and spiritual practices. These are all subjective experiences and they are verified through investigations of the parts of the brain which respond to these spiritual practices. Now, just at the bottom of the slide, you can see soul, spirituality, meditation. For the purpose of discussion, we are putting it together. So in the coming slides, you may find meditation, spirituality, soul. My aim is to talk about the soul itself. I'm talking about meditation at the same time. So coming to the scientific investigations, the neuroscience research indicates there is no single spirituality center or God spot in the brain. Instead, the spiritual and religious experiences involve the complex interaction of multiple brain organs and neural circuits. Those related and neuroscience focuses on these areas when it is trying to understand the spiritual processes. Soul is seated in the brain and it expresses through it. This is a statement I am making because the brain itself and the advanced brain of the humans has directed us to think about the soul. This is the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. We have a very advanced forebrain, and that makes us contemplate about soul and many other issues. Before we proceed further, we have to address two things. One is alertness of the mind, and one is the resting state. The alertness of the mind and the alertness of the body come through certain systems in the nervous system. That is reticular activating system, thalamus, basal brain. These maintain consciousness and focus attention. Along with it, there are cortical regions like frontal, parietal, and cingulate. And the resting state would mean that the brain is at rest. It is not sleeping, it is at rest. And this works through three particular networks. One is called the default mode network. A default mode network is one when the brain is idle, it's got nothing to do, the mind starts wandering, daydreaming, and there are many self-referential thoughts. This is called default mode network, and it is initiated or it is coordinated through these brain structures: parietal lobe, precuneus, medial prefrontal cortex, and the cingulate cortex. Then there's another network that is called Central Executive Network, the CEN. The main role of the CEN is it supports self-awareness by enabling functions like decision making, attention, and working memory. So it is an alert part of the brain. And the salience network is something which integrates relevant stimuli from the default mode network and coordinates between default mode network and the central executive network. So when the brain starts functioning, the role of the salience network is very much increased. These are the three networks which are highlighted in the PET scan. The default mode network, central executive network, and the salience network. So you can look at it this way: the salience network is coordinating between the default mode network and the central executive network. Just briefly, meditation, there's a way of understanding it. And one is what we are more familiar with, and the one is which seems like a Western way of putting meditation. And it goes as minimizing sensory input, relaxation exercises, single pointed effort, focused attention, object based, unbroken flow of attention, open monitoring, object based or not, and then transcendental self realization. Whereas our scriptures, our practitioners, they talk of three things: sensory withdrawal, that is pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. These are the areas which get active in the spiritual practices, as you can see. And they're all confined to the anterior part, in the front part of the brain. I'll come to the other parts which are also active during the spiritual exercises. Very big brain we have got. The neocortex is the main brain that the humans have, which is involved in thinking, planning, and deciding, whereas the reptilian brain has survival instinct, mammalian brain has got emotions, connections, and reward. The spiritual and mystical experiences, there are specific brain areas that I've already talked about, and research has focused on two main approaches. One is by seeing the brain, and the other is by seeing individuals who are doing prayers or meditation. And what are the investigations that we resort to? One is radiological studies, that is the CAT scan, the magnetic resonance imaging, which takes strong magnetic field and radio waves to make an image of the brain. Then there are perfusion studies. These are more recent studies where we inject radioisotope dyes. We inject isotopes of certain material into the brain, into the bloodstream, and then we see the flow of this in the brain, which is detected by the magnetic resonance imaging, what we call MRI. Then there's another perfusion study which is done through positron emission tomography. Besides this, since the brain works on electrical energy, electrical circuitry, the electroencephalogram is a specific device that measures the electrical flow in the brain, and it records the waves, define, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, depending on the resting stage of the brain and active stage. Now, once we have seen the areas that are involved in meditation, spirituality, how to how to how to see the effect of that on the human behavior. For that, we have some psychological tests, and to see the beneficial effects of meditation and spirituality. These tests tell us that there is an improvement in the attention, in the concentration, in an overall uh, grasp of what is happening all around. So it helps in processing. The brain becomes better as a processing what you call instrument, and the working memory, digital span, spatial span, these all show a very remarkable change. Now, there are certain areas in the brain get activated, which get activated. Those areas, there are certain areas which are showing decreased functioning. In this, there is an inferior parietal lobe, which I'll show to you just now, and the posterior parietal cortex. These are the areas which are involved in spatial orientation, that is, the self in the external world. When there is a decreased activity in these areas during the spiritual practices, and therefore, since there is a dissolution of the person's uh, self in the boundary that he is living, or in the boundary where he is existing, the parietal lobe, the decreased function of the parietal lobe dissolves the self boundary, a sense of oneness or union with, and then results in the union with the universe. Many studies have consistently showed that there's a reduced activity in the parietal lobe, especially the left parietal lobe. Now, if we will see, notice this, there's a area which is marked orientation. So on the left hand side, you will see that there's more blood flow, and on the right hand side, there's less blood flow. So these are SPECT scans which show us that the parietal lobe becomes less, it shows decreased activity during the meditation. Now there are certain areas which show increased activity. In this comes the ventrofrontal temporal network. I will not name these areas, but just if you look at it, this network is linked to involuntary attention, emotional processing, that is positive emotions and love, and relational connection or bonding. Now, it is basically the frontal temporal lobes that are involved in this, along with subcortical regions, that means below the frontal lobes, and of course, slightly little uh, down from the main cortex, brainstem, thalamus, and striatum. A very important area that is involved in this is the prefrontal lobe and the frontal lobes. And frontal lobe is associated with attention, focus, and conscious cognition processes, especially during initial or volitional stages of meditation. So when we start meditation, it is the prefrontal cortex which gets active. Then, of course, there's a periaqueductal area. This I'll talk about in the next slide. Just showing you which areas are activated during meditation. There are certain neurotransmitters, chemicals that make the brain work and which help in the conduction of the electricity, the electrical impulses. There are certain neurotransmitters which are increased, and these are called feel-good neurotransmitters. Amongst them, dopamine we all know, feelings which results in feelings of pleasure, reward, and motivation. Serotonin is higher levels. There is general sense of satisfaction and well-being. And endorphins are natural painkillers and mood lifters which create a calming effect. There are, huh? I'll go a little faster. So then there are some relaxing neurotransmitters like gamma aminobutyric acid. There's acetylcholine, melatonin, glutamate. These are other key neurotransmitters which help in maintaining body, sleep-wake cycle, learning, memory. And then if you pay attention, there are the hormones the neurotransmitters or hormones that cause an increase in stress levels, they are also taken care of during meditation and they go down. Cortisol and norepinephrine. Of course, there's one thing called dimethyltryptamine, which is hypothetically created in the pineal gland, and it is a hallucinogen which explains the out of body experience. Melatonin is also affected, and this helps in restoring sleep-wake cycle. The periaqueductal area is a slightly primitive structure which is located between the brain lobes, and this is very active in meditation. It is the area which has got a lot of endogenous opioids which help to reduce the pain and increase feelings of well-being. And the one in the center is the cerebral aqueduct, and there is a periaqueductal area. There are neurotransmitters in the periaqueductal area which are influenced by meditation. One is gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA, glutamate, and serotonin. GABA, as I said, this is a relaxing neurotransmitter. Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter, and meditation helps maintain the balance between GABA and glutamate. Then serotonin is a happiness neurotransmitter which increases during meditation, and so does dopamine. Dopamine helps also to reduce the anxiety and give a feel-good factor. So neuroscience can only identify neural correlates and neurochemical changes associated with spiritual experiences that people interpret as soul itself. Actually, it is just investigating the specific brain functions. So no single spirituality center, and briefly we can understand that the meditation involves decrease in self-orientation, that is parietal lobes and default mode network deactivation, and an increase in emotional processing attention, that is frontotemporal and PAG networks. So the capacity for spiritual experiences is deeply integrated into the brain's fundamental neurobiological architecture. This only proves one point, that it evolved so that we could gain this kind of a higher knowledge or higher awareness about ourselves. So brain, we cannot say distinctly that this is the seat of the soul, but definitely it is a window through which we can see the soul. Then we come to the Eastern philosophies, our philosophies. In Vedic philosophy, the main questions are answered: who am I? What am I? Am I a body or a spirit? And ancient Vedic literature of India has provided the clearest concepts on these questions. For example, Mundaka Upanishad explains that a living being is the soul, and that the soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. It resides in the heart. Being atomic in size, it can easily reside there, and it has a pervasive influence. That is, the influence of the soul extends throughout the body. And the Atma and Paramatma also reside together in the heart and act as silent witness to the actions, emotions of the individual and his surroundings. But in addition to this, there are the chakras. The soul is considered a person's true self, essential self, and consciousness. The chakras are energy centers within the subtle body that are thought to be the gateways of the soul's experience and energy to flow through. Soul is fundamental being, and the chakras are the energy system of the subtle body that the soul uses to interact with the physical and emotional world outside. Then, of course, Lord Krishna has said something about the Kundalini, as we call it, and he says that everything originates from this. And this is a master key to the unsolved mystery of creation, the inexhaustible source of philosophy, art, and science, and the fountainhead of all religious faiths, past, present, and future. So, the picture that I showed, the Kundalini, the second part of to understand the soul and its functioning. And maybe this is also the part of the soul itself, because it is an extension. So, Kundalini is an encompassing consciousness that lives within the human being. It has two forms. Outer form, it is the force that gives rise to universe, and one second. I will just take 2 minutes. Can you 1 minute? Because I've just come to the what's happened. I think I've just pressed some button. So I will just try to conclude it. Uh, can you see the slides over there? Shanta Maharaj, can you see the slides? Okay, so see now the so far as this Kundalini Shakti is concerned, and the practice of Kundalini, it takes the consciousness. It starts at the Mooldhara, that is the lowest in the order, and as the practitioner of meditation goes deeper and deeper into meditation, this particular chakras they move up till the time they ultimately come to the top, or what we call as the crown chakra, from where s- better consciousness and evolved consciousness uh, can be thought to be achieved. So that is the soul, that is the chakras. Through the chakras we achieve the highest form of the soul. The whole problem is that when we research on the soul, on the chakras, we have to research indirectly, because if it affects the brain, and it has been seen that one who meditates and his chakras are touched, his forebrain shows some changes. That is one thing. And physiologically, the changes come in his behavior. Again, the same good thing, that he feels good, he feels compassionate, he feels more attached to his surroundings, and that is how the evolution of the soul takes place. The researchers in India, in the world, they have tried. It has intrigued them no end, and they have tried to understand the chakras, giving their own interpretations to it. So, for instance, they have said uh, Kundalini awareness syndrome, and in this they have said that it is definitely going to cause an increase in the consciousness, but at the same time, these are only biological changes that is happening, and there's nothing more than that. And they have put up a scale on that is called the KAS scale, or the Kundalini Awareness Scale. So it measures the Kundalini rise, and also they tabulates the persons on those scale. The problem is that they have equated it to another kind of an uh, awakening that the Westerners feel is similar to Kundalini. It is not. हाँ ना ना हो गया सर हो गया just 1 minute. हाँ. So I would make a concluding remark by saying that when we are in quest of science, we should not think anything is similar. So when somebody tries to make something similar, he will lose the inherent good, the exact nature of a particular science. So Kundalini science cannot be made similar to any other science. That is where we make a mistake. So with this, I would like to conclude that whenever we do a research, it should be focused on one without trying to find similarities. Thank you. Hmm. Uh, well, see, the crown chakra, no. See, because if you ask me this question, how to uh, awaken your Kundalini, there are masters who will guide you. I am not a master of Kundalini. So first thing is this. Second thing is, as we do hypnosis in our practice. And while doing hypnosis, we have to clearly see which candidate can take hypnosis and who cannot. Similarly, Kundalini is something where only a guide can give you the direction to go ahead, because it has got some side effects also, like a lot of crisis in the mind, then maybe your rhythms are disturbed because pineal gland is known to cause change in the rhythms. But hmm. So I'll just finish. Hmm. Nay, again, I'm telling you, the crown chakra may be even above that. The crown chakra, no, no, no. The pineal and the pituitary gland are embedded in the brain, but the crown chakra is on top. Uh, where is the crown chakra? That was your first question, I guess. The crown chakra, as I said, it is on top of the head. But pituitary and pineal gland, they are deep seated. Hmm. No, I cannot. I cannot because I have the chakras and the research based on the chakras. Even the scientists are not. I'm not a practitioner of chakras, that I've told you. And if you really want to know, if you really want to know about the chakras, you need to have a guru. Ah, thanks.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Bharat Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Next chair session is from Dr. Sanjeev, right?
Yeah.
He's chairing the session. Huh? Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What about your talk, Prabhuji? Your talk? Yes. What about your talk, Prabhuji? You are going to start now? After 5 minutes? Okay, okay. Okay, then it's okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Dr. Bhajakishore, are you ready? So we'll start. So we will, we have two more talks to finish. It will not take much time. After that, we have the also cultural program, drama of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj is there today. So our next speaker is Dr. Brajakishore Das Bharat Cherukuri, who is a professor of critical care medicine, NRI Hospital, Mangalgiri, Andhra Pradesh, and is a devotee scientist at Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math and Institute, Narsingapalli, Navadip Dham, and he is going to speak on rethinking medical knowledge, epistemology, origin and limits of symptom-based treatment in modern science.
Okay, good evening everyone. First of all, I pay my humble obeisances to my spiritual masters, and with their blessings, I will start my talk now. And I thank Bhakti Nishkam Shant Maharaj for giving me this opportunity to share not only my knowledge but also experience with you people. Adato Brahma Jignasa, that means it is the Vedic aphorism which says, at least now, let us think about the God, if at all he exists. If someone exists, let us at least now will start thinking about him. I will share my experience, not much subject to discuss, just I want to share my experience. When I was doing my intermediate, I got a doubt whether all the living entities are created by God or like as Darwin said, they had evolved. For that, I am searching the answer. Meanwhile, what happened is, I had visited Vijayawada Book Festival. Every year they used to conduct it at PWD grounds. Now they are not, they changed the venue. Now they are not conducting there. So when I am roaming in that book festival, I came across a book stall. There, the book vendor, he is explaining to the customer that Prabhupada says we had not come from monkeys, because if we come from monkeys, why does monkeys exist? For example, if a child is turned into an adult, we no more see a child. In the same way, if at all one species is changing into other species, why does the previous species exist? I found the argument very interesting. I went there and I asked them what are these books are about, what is this stall? They told it is ISKCON stall. These books are written by Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. So I had bought few of those books, and since that time I was reading it regularly, but I don't have proper guidance to understand those books. So when I entered MBBS, even MBBS first year, I was a little bit confused. But from the second year onwards, when I taken the spiritual life very seriously, because without a proper discipline, you can't expect any knowledge. Forget about spirituality. Even for material education, you need to have proper curriculum and discipline. So I try, since that time I am trying to balance my spiritual life and medical life. That means at that time academic life, now professional life. So my spiritual life started with this inquiry, Adato Brahma Jignasa. My Brahma Jignasa is whether we are born to monkeys or humans. This is the regular scientific format. How we get knowledge? First, we make an observation. We'll ask a question, formulate a hypothesis, make some predictions. You test that prediction with an experiment. You draw some conclusions. If it is positive, that means what you had expected, the results are like that, you are happy. If the result is something which you had not expected, what we will do is, I will speak in the context of medical profession. I am not speaking in general, science as a general. I confine myself to medical profession. For example, when you are testing a drug, whether the drug works or not, if it works, I am happy. I will publish it. I will market it. I will get money. If the drug doesn't work, what I will do is I will again go back. I will change my hypothesis. I will make some alterations. I will increase the sample size. If I had tested the drug on 100 patients, I will now second time I will test it on 500 patients. Increasing the sample size may change the result. That's what the trials in medicine works. So what the knowledge you are getting may not be the perfect knowledge, may not be the true knowledge. Most of the time it is manipulated knowledge. I am not putting an allegation. I am going to show the evidence also. So there are four basic problems with any scientific approach. First thing is, we tend to commit mistakes. Definitely mistakes will happen. Second thing is to become illusioned. That means we mistake one thing for the other. We think something this will do good, but actually it may doing a lot of bad. It was proved many times in drug research. Third thing, imperfect senses.